But first, should you use your looks to get ahead? Which is a very silly question, I reckon, because everyone uses what they were born with, right? If you are beautiful, handsome, blessed in the face, leg, bum or boob department, why wouldn't you use such assets to get an edge? Women use their looks to snare a mate, men to pull. We dress our best whenever we want to impress. Why? To make ourselves look more appealing. We want to be desired, because if we are desired, then we have power. How many of you girls, right, how many of you girls have perverted the course of justice simply by fluttering your eyelashes when you were pulled for speeding? Then at the same time, everyone else bitches and moans about how you don't deserve this, all that, because you only got where you are today by trading on your looks. What? And they wouldn't if they had them? Of course they would. Now, Bonita's had loads and loads of press for her remarkable achievement. And Private Eye satirised the coverage under the headline, "Fruity Girl Climbs to Top of News Agenda." And there's I think it's quite cleverly done. There's a quote here, "One hardened Fleet Street editor wept. At last we have a 22-year-old who has scaled the peaks of fruitiness and planted a story at the top of every page." Very amusing, but the sting comes in the next paragraph. Said fellow mountaineer Sir Ranulph Fiennes, not pictured because he's old and not fruity, ... And I guess that says, trade on what you've got now because you might not have it a few years down the line. Now, I'm interested, Bonita, when you have done something as remarkable as you did, is it really annoying that people then sort of play it down to what you look like?
You know, I've had an incredible amount of support from what I've done and what I've come back to.
Right.
And I don't think anyone would have really known about it had it not been in the papers. And so I can't really...
But it would have gone in the papers, I would like to think, whether you looked the way you did or you had a bag on your head. It's a remarkable thing for a British woman of 22 to do. Yeah. It is. It is.
What you look like on Everest doesn't matter at all. You know, it does not matter in the slightest. It's just the fact that your legs work in good order and, you know, you've got the desire to get to the top that matters. So, yeah, I suppose for people to say the main thing is the only reason that she got sponsored was because she was pretty, and that's really upsetting because it was a really hard struggle to get the money. It was over a year of work. It's $60,000 I had to find to go to Everest. And that's the hardest thing I think I've ever done, is find that money. And to say that it's only because the way she looks is kind of like a bit deflating.
Yeah, no, I can imagine. Now, we were asking earlier on in the show whether or not anybody would deliberately play down their appearance. And Tracy Ann, you had a word with me during the break about...
No, I think Helena Bonham Carter has gone on record to say that she finds, or she has found it in the past, because she's incredibly pretty and classically so, that she found it hard to get the sort of grittier parts that she wanted, so has often downplayed her natural prettiness. But I think that there's a disproportionate amount of pressure and attention as to how people look. And I think programmes, I'm sure Gwok is a lovely man, but programmes like How to Look Good Naked, I find so offensive, because basically it's saying it doesn't matter what you've achieved in your life, career-wise or anything, if you can't get your baps and your bum out in public in front of your ageing parents and your 10-year-old children, then you've achieved nothing. And I think this is the message that's wrong. Because, yes, of course, it's an age-old thing. If you look attractive, we like to, you know, everybody objectifies everybody else, so it's nice. But everything is reduced now down to physical appearance.
Well, there's another aspect which I think maybe you'd be... I don't know whether you'd be aware of it or not in your profession, is when you look back over time, you see actresses who made it because of their looks when they were young, and then when they're old... and maybe the looks are faded, they then moan about how they've been left on the shelf and nobody wants them old. And that makes me think, well, you can't have it both ways. You can't trade on your looks when you're young, because if that's how you're making it in life, you can't then complain when it goes and nobody wants it.
Well, I recently wrote a play about Betty Davis and Joan Crawford, who epitomised that. Betty Davis was the actress and Joan Crawford was the very beautiful one who traded on her looks. And it's a cruel industry, so hopefully you've got a talent to back it up. But we are beginning to airbrush out of our world any normal-looking 60-year-olds because everybody's Botox. You know, we're going to have a generation of young women who've never seen what a real 60-year-old woman plus looks like and have never seen anybody but a lollipop head who gets... I mean, this isn't Cheryl Cole, but, you know, Woman of the Year reduces down to what you look like. It's a very sad society we're living in, and I would hate to be a young... Obviously, my model looks speak for themselves, but, you know, I would hate to be a young woman growing up. I think we are sending out an appalling message without being all sort of proto-feminist, but it's a dangerous thing we're sending out.
I agree. Going back to the talking point, whether it's wrong to use... You know, people do it all the time, don't they, Craig?
Yeah, they do. Well, particularly in my industry, you know, and I guess I'm partly guilty and responsible as a director and choreographer. You know, because
in what sense?
Well, when I'm auditioning, you know, I have certain standards that I'm required to meet. You know, and that generally is tall, leggy girls with a decent, you know, pair of breasts, to be honest, particularly in a show like The Lido. I choreographed that, and they're all 6 foot tall. They have to be topless, and they have to be able to wear these dazzling costumes. And you know, I think, am I doing something wrong in the world here because the
public has... If they want to go out and see a glamorous show, that's what they want.
Yeah, well, quite. You know, but I'm also guilty of casting, you know, character dancers as well.
You don't need to then have it in episodes of Casualty to have every nurse look like she's walked up a catwalk, or the Bills to have police women that look like they've walked out of Vogue.
But what is the point of page 3 girls? I don't understand. Is it
make us feel tender memories of our mothers, I believe.
Well,
but you know what I'm saying? It's an odd
not porn,
thing.
It's a mother thing.
Yeah, all right.
Let's throw it open to you guys. I mean, I think some great points from all of the panel, particularly Tracy Ann. Do we all play on our looks? Is it wrong to do so, Kirsty?
We have Jane first on line 2.
Jane, good morning.
Hello.
Now, I was asking people if anybody out there has ever played down their looks. Have you ever done that?
Yes, I have to constantly. I'm a GP. I'm 30. I'm 5'11". I've got an hourglass figure, size 12, and I've got rather large breasts. So for work, I have to constantly play down how I look.
Why?
Because, well, it all first started when I was working in a hospital, and I walked past a consultant, and he said bouncy, bouncy to me as I walked past. And from there on, I realised that I wasn't being taken seriously by my colleagues, and from there on, my patients used to stare at my breasts when I was talking to them. And it doesn't really matter whether I cover them up or not. I'm a natural blonde. I've had to change my hair colour. I just feel that I'm taken more seriously if I play down my looks.
Has it worked?
Yes, because, well, I don't get comments from colleagues anymore, and most of my patients look at my face when they're talking to me, so I think it's worked. How
do you feel about that, Jane? How do you feel about the fact you have had to change how you physically appear naturally, as opposed to half the girls that appear in magazines who've actually changed the way they appear using surgery? You're going the other way around, so you're changing your natural appearance in order to be treated seriously. I think that's really sad.
Yeah, it is sad, and I suppose it's just society, as you're saying, Pete. You know, these page 3 girls, and I don't know, that's just the way it's worked out for me, and it is very sad. And... Can you imagine
being in another career where you would actually play up on these assets?
The Lido, darling, in Paris. You're 5'11", you know, long legs.
Yeah, I think you've just been hired if you fancy a bit of musical theatre.
Yeah.
Well, you know, I haven't worn heels for work for years. I'd love to do that, but...
Right, sign her up. Yeah, the dancing doc.
Love it. You do dance.
You'd be quackers not to see this show. Of course you can dance.
There is that.
Thank you, Jane. Sad call, I think, but thank you.
We have Juliana next on line 3.
Juliana, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
What about you, my dear?
I'm 17.
Right.
And I tend to play up my looks in a way.
Right.
Because I think while I'm still young, and at first, it didn't start off, you know, it didn't start off, I didn't mean to do it. You know, I just realised that I was just getting different treatment. Because,
right.
You know, as well. And I'm not stunningly beautiful, I'm not trying to say that, no way. But, you know, I just got, like, different treatment or special treatment or whatever, something like that.
I understand. Go on, you carry on.
I figure while I'm still young, I might as well still use it. And it's all innocent because, you know, I'm only using my looks. There's people that sleep their way to get to the top. You know, it's nothing like that.
Yeah.
So
now, tell me this, but Juliana, tell me this, right? Let's say you are up against a woman of 50 for a job, and you play up on the looks department, and you're both equally qualified, although by definition you would have less experience than the older woman, and you get the job over the older woman, and we might have a suspicion perhaps it's because the guy doing the interviewing had a bit of a shine to you. Now, fast forward 30 years, and you are now the 50-year-old woman up against the 17-year-old. How would you feel then if you didn't get the job?
In no way is it fair. In no way is it fair, but that's just the way. That's the way society works. I mean, there's like the woman said before me. There's page 3 girls. But you know, size 0 models everywhere. That's just the way society is. It's not fair. No one's saying it's fair. But that's just the way it goes. And while I'm still young, obviously I don't want to be in that position when I'm 50. But while I'm still young and, you know, everything's still where it's supposed to be, I'm going to use it to my advantage. Why not?
Juliana, you said it's not fair, and that is what life is like. I couldn't agree with you more. It is not fair. Thank you for the call. Now, after the break, we're going to the talking point. Well, I don't know if any of us really want to discuss it, do we? Speedo or speedon't? Do men want to wear trunks like these? Do you girls want us to wear trunks like these? Yes, no, 0207 173 5555 is the number for your thoughts, and we'll hear heaps of them on the other side of the break.